you're a TV fan, you'll no doubt know that Breaking Bad returned to our screens earlier this week with the second half of its fifth and final season. So as we near the end, I want to go right back to the beginning and talk about why I think Breaking Bad's pilot is one of the best pilot episodes ever. The most immediately striking and unique thing about Breaking Bad's first episode is that it opens with the kind of scene most pilots try and close with, a sort of mind-boggling, what the hell kind of moment that urges you to watch the next one, assuming you've enjoyed the rest of the episode enough to get to that point. With Breaking Bad's pilot, straight off the bat you've got some guy in his underwear in the middle of the desert wearing a gas mask with some bodies in the back of an RV waving a gun around. If that's not a what the hell moment, I don't know what is. You're not even given the opportunity to make up your own mind as to whether you like it enough to keep watching. When a scene like that is forced on you, you have no choice. The next thing I love about it is the fact that the majority of the characters you're going to end up caring about to some extent, at least in season 1, are introduced in this first episode. I think that was a really smart move actually, because by the end of the pilot you feel like you already know them quite well and have perhaps already built some emotional attachments. So when various things play out throughout the series, they affect you just that bit more. Your engagement with characters is pretty much everything, and they make sure they nail this right at the beginning. While we're on the subject of characters, it's worth mentioning that they're just such a strong bunch. Every one of them has something about them that makes you think, there's something more to this, I think we're just scratching the surface here. They're incredibly well written and clearly have some depth, and for that to be apparent in a pilot episode is really good work. Next up is the plot. Now, not only is it just a really strong story, and like I mentioned earlier, you don't have to hang around very long to find out what the premise is, but from the first episode it's already full of so much weight. Walter White's not just troubled by money problems and a baby on the way, which I think in itself would probably be enough to get a decent storyline going anyway. He's also dying of cancer. He's also cooking crystal meth. The stakes are already so incredibly high, and there's just a real feeling that this can only end in disaster. I honestly have no idea how anyone can get past that first 40 minutes and not watch anymore. So the plot is fast-paced and exciting, which is great, but perhaps even more importantly, everything feels fairly authentic. Walt's knowledge of chemistry, and therefore his capability in a meth lab, feels rather believable, contrasted against Jesse's eager naivety and his street smarts. The way those two interact in their teacher-student relationship is spot on, an element of bravado mixed with some wariness. The whole thing is out there enough to be captivating, but grounded enough to feel real. The final thing that I think makes the pilot so great is that it feels like it could be a feature film in itself. It's got such an epic quality to it. I remember being absolutely exhausted by the end of it when I first watched it, from starting and ending in the same place and taking that whole journey in between. It certainly felt much longer than 40 minutes, but in a good way. And had I turned it off and been told that yeah, that was a standalone film, I'd have been satisfied with that. But to then realise that it's only the beginning of much bigger things to come, that's pretty cool. So those are my reasons why I think Breaking Bad has one of the best pilot episodes ever. But what about you? Do you agree, or do you have a different show in mind? Let me know in the comments down below, or feel free to tweet at me here. Also, please check out my blog at scriptsandscreens.com where I talk about loads of other film and TV things.